Minnesota may just pass into law a ban on certain campaign financing. Interesting. Now, in a late night vote, which was very, very close, the Minnesota Senate approved something called the Democracy for the People Act. So what is that? Well, it's an omnibus democracy bill banning companies with at least 5% ownership stake by multiple foreign owners or a 1% stake by a single foreign owner from making political contributions in Minnesota state and municipal elections. So legislation also prohibits such companies from making dark money donations to super PACs. Awesome. Awesome. Helping to get some of that dark money and big corporate spending out. I love it. So now this barely passed 34 to 33. So really, really close. But it may well be signed by Governor Tim Walz. It's going to him for a signature. He has promised to sign it into law and put up a firewall to keep Minnesota's elections safe, free, and fair, which again is awesome, wonderful, and a really good step towards actually ensuring that the will of the people is heard over the will of corporate donors and billionaires. So now the measure was also approved 70 to 57 along party lines in the State House of Representatives. So again, it's only got to go to Walz's desk, and he's going to sign it. So this is fantastic. Now, let me give you some quotes here. This is from Alexandra Flores Quilty, campaign director at Free Speech for Free People, whose model legislation heavily influenced this bill. She said multinational corporations are corrupting representative democracy by drowning out the voices of the people. The Democracy for the People Act will help put power back in the hands of the citizens. I have another quote here. This is from the Center for American Progress, saying this legislation will close a dangerous loophole opened by the U.S. Supreme Court's decisions in Citizens United versus FEC and reduce foreign influence in Minnesota's elections. Contains additional important measures to strengthen the freedom to vote and modernize the state's campaign finance system, including establishing automatic voter registration, awesome, enabling voters to opt in to automatically receive mail-in ballots for each election, also good, pre-registering 16 and 17-year-olds to vote upon turning 18, prohibiting intimidation and interference for the voting process, and increasing disclosure of secret political spending. So all of this stuff is, I think, a massive move forward and something that other states really do need to adopt. And even something like on the national level. Now, of course, the problem is that won't happen on the national level. There is too much corruption in our current Congress. However, seeing this happen at the state level, look, at the state level is where a lot of things happen. And I know a lot of us, lefty political commentators, we tend to miss some of the state stuff unless it's like terrible or trans bans and stuff like that. But really, we shouldn't be sleeping on the states. There's a lot of stuff that's getting done, and mainly because the federal government hasn't been able to get anything done because of that level of corruption. So it's good to see that there is a movement towards getting, again, rid of this dark money, getting rid of, yes, foreign influence. For example, Saudi Arabia has a large influence. You have other countries that have large influence in our elections, foreign lobbyists, etc. And of course, multinational corporations, which don't belong to any country. I mean, if you're, by definition, a multinational corporation, well, then you're not an American corporation, that's for sure. Or, yeah, anything like that. So, shouldn't have any influence in our elections anyway. So, yes, this is a fantastic bill with a lot of other smaller stuff. I love the automatic voter registration. I think that's going to help a lot. I don't know, again, why anybody would be against this idea, but we do live in America where you have a party that hates democracy. that literally their entire thing is, we don't like democracy. In fact, we're going to do everything we can to stop democracy. Same people that were also behind the January 6th, riots, coup attempt, all that stuff. So yeah, it's no wonder why a lot of them are against this kind of stuff, are against transparency, are against getting rid of the corruptive influence of money in politics. And it's because they receive a lot of this money. All right, let me give you a couple more quotes here. Center for American Progress senior fellow Michael Sozin said in a statement following the state Senate vote, "Today, Minnesota took a giant step forward to strengthening free and fair elections, setting a strong example for the nation. At a time where many states are passing laws to suppress voters or subvert elections, Minnesota has become a national leader in protecting elections and empowering voters. The provision to stop political spending by foreign influenced U.S. corporations will limit the ability of foreign entities to spend money in Minnesota's elections and strengthen the ability of Minnesotans to chart their state's future." So, yes, all that is fantastic. And by the way, Common Dreams also notes that there's been momentum towards enacting legislation at the national level. This includes Elizabeth Warren's Anti-Corruption and Public Integrity Act and Jamie Raskin's Get Foreign Money Out of U.S. Elections Act. So there is moves, at the national level, but again, I am not optimistic. Not without massive movement, massive changes, because the level of corruption at the congressional level, I think, has reached a tipping point too far to be saved, to allow them to actually vote on something like this. I mean, any legislation to even attempt to curb money in politics at the national level would be first watered down massively, and then if it managed to pass, Supreme Court challenges all over the place. I still think the best way to get money out of politics is to have a constitutional convention, pass an amendment to get all political spending out, all private spending, and go to completely public elections. But that's still going to take a ton of work. There are people that are working on it. There are groups that are working on it, and they're doing fantastic work. But it is a long-term project, as is democracy. But it is still good to see some movements at the state level, and hopefully other states will adopt similar types of legislation so we can at least have some democracy in our own states.